guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be filming a March reading wrap-up. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I really did not read that many books in March, and I kind of fell into a reading slump that was hard to get out of, but I did end up getting out of it at the end of the month and reading 2 more books on top of what I already read that were really interesting to me and I can't wait to talk about. So let's get into this video. I want to point out that I took a shower this morning and just am letting it air dry, so she looks a little crazy and hasn't been styled. So let's just ignore that. But let me grab the books that I read in March. Okay, I read 5 books in the month of March, and I really enjoyed all of them. So I'm not really sure where the reading slump came in. I'm not sure, but let's get into it. So the first book that I read this month is Indigo Ridge, which I was going to film a video where Zach picks my reads, which I'll insert a clip of that now. Okay. Why?
It's kind of mountainy, and I think the mountain looks cool. So, Indigo Ridge. Sounds kind of neat.
So Zach picked this book out for me, and I actually really enjoyed it. I rated it a 4 stars. A lot of people rated it 5 stars and loved it. I thought it was super good. Definitely going to continue the series. That's not the issue at all. I really liked it. Again, I'm not big on spice. There was some spice in it, but I really enjoyed the plot of the book and it kept me hooked. I think this is where my reading slump began in March. Is I was taking forever to get through this book. It took me a week, I think, or maybe a little bit longer to finish this book. And I don't think it was the book. I think it was just the slump. So I'm going to attribute that this is a 4 stars to the slump, but overall a really good book. It is a small town enemies to lovers romance. It blew up on TikTok and that's how I heard about it, but it is a series where it follows the Eden family, and this one is about Griffin Eden and the new chief of police, Winslow. She comes to town and it takes place in Montana, and I loved the setting. I loved the plot. I didn't know there's like a murder mystery in it. I guess you could say murder mystery, but it's more like a crime mystery that the chief of police is trying to figure out. So you're trying to figure it out with her. And I didn't figure it out till the ending. Like, it wasn't something where I was like, oh, it's obviously that. It leads you to believe a couple of different ways in here of who it's gonna be, and it's none of them. So I really liked that I couldn't pinpoint exactly what was going on until the end. I really like books like that. So I rated this a 4 star. I would recommend it, with the exception of people who don't like spice. If you don't like spice, this may not be for you. The second book that I read in March was The Woman in the Green Dress. Now, this is not a book for everyone. It is a historical fiction about this woman named Fleur, and she has this husband that's really new. Like, they had only been married for a little bit, but he went to the war and ends up dying in the war, or just like not coming back, and she's trying to figure out what happened. And I guess he's like rich, and she's like, whoa, I didn't know that, and inherits all this stuff. So she goes to Australia, which is the country that he's from, to kind of figure it all out. And there's also a second storyline going on in the past with other characters. I'm not going to go too far into it because I don't think a lot of people are into this kind of genre or anything. If you're into historical fiction, definitely a good read. I really, really enjoyed it. No spice. There is romance in it, but it's old-timey romance, and I love that. I love a slow burn. I love that part of it, and how it wasn't the main plot. The main plot is not the romance at all. The main plot is Fleur and what's going on. But I liked that it went back and forth from present day to the past. but it was a little confusing at first because there was a lot of characters that you're following in the past that you have no idea who they are. It does all kind of come together in the middle, but at first I was like, okay, why are we having two different storylines? What's going on? So I think that contributed to my rating a little bit. I rated it a 3.75 stars, so not awful, but just like not my favorite either. I would definitely recommend to someone who loves historical fiction though. It was a good book. I think another one is just like the writing was different for me. It didn't say who was talking when they were talking. Like it would just have like this dialogue and you had to figure out who was talking to who, and that was really confusing to me and it kind of took me out of the story a lot and I didn't like that. So I think that's why it's a 3.75. It's not my favorite book I've ever read, but it wasn't bad, and I think historical fiction is just not genuinely a genre that I go for. So keep that in mind too. I think if you really like historical fiction, you'd really like this book a whole lot more than I did. It's just not my typical genre, but it was fun to try a new genre and learn some stuff, you know? So, not a bad book. Would recommend to historical fiction people. The next book that I read in March was actually, so The Woman in the Green Dress, the distance between reading that and reading this next book was a long time for me. A long time for me. So this book took me 2 weeks or more to read, but I loved it. It's Life of Pi by Yann Martel. I tabbed the crap out of this book, if you can see that, which means it's a good book to me. Like, this has 0 tabs in it, and this romance book's never, but like have 0 tabs in it. This is a literature book. This is a book that you need to take your time and read. Again, this is not a book for everyone. I picked it up at a thrift sale for like $1 because I've heard of the movie and never seen it, but I was like, I hear the books are always better than the movies. So if I've never seen the movie, I have a movie to go watch now. I haven't watched it yet. But I picked this up for like $1. Didn't know if I was gonna like it because again, it's not a genre that I would typically go for. There's no romance, which is typically what I lean towards. And it just, I don't even know how you would describe the genre of this book. Just fiction, I guess. And I typically don't go for fiction, but I'm finding out that I really like fiction. I loved the writing and description in this book so much. The way that the author describes fear and anxiety and just, there's so many good quotes in here. I could read them, but I'm not going to. But like, I tabbed so much. I'm also a big animal person. Love animals, love zoos, like love that whole thing. And the beginning of this book is heavily targeted to people who like animals and zoos, and like the imagery is all about animals. So that really spoke to me as well. Like I said, not a book that everyone's going to like. The ending, I need someone to read this book and talk about the ending with me because I just like don't know what I think. It's kind of open to interpretation, the ending is. Like there's an ending because I don't like books that don't have an ending, but there is a little like twist at the end where you're like, wait a second, what? And I need someone to talk about that with because nobody I know has read this book except for a couple of friends. So I need to know what other people think about this. There's also religion heavily throughout, but 3 different religions. It's not just Christianity. There's 2 other religions that are heavily talked about too. So his take on religions is interesting to read about as well. Like I said, I don't know if I'd recommend this to a lot of people because I don't think a lot of people would like it or cherish it. But if you really like literature, not just a story that you can easily read, like romance, read it in a couple of days and you're done. I'm talking like real literature that you're like, wow, that's profound and like speaking to me. This is a book that I would highly, highly recommend. I rated it 4.5 stars because there's just a couple of things that I didn't enjoy, I guess. Like, I don't know. There's just a couple of things where I was like, whoa, that's interesting and different. And I don't know if that contributes to a 5-star, but I loved it. And I don't think 5 stars to me is something I think about all the time. I think about that book, it comes to my head when I want to recommend it to someone. I don't think I'm going to think about this like super far into the future. I think just right now I'm like, what the heck? But after a little bit, I'm going to be over it. So take that as you will. Since that book took me so long, I was really in a slump. So I just didn't read for like a week. But when I did pick up another book, I was like, I'm gonna go back to my bread and butter, which is rom-coms. So I picked up Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. Have never read a Lynn Painter book. Heard this one was so good. Everyone loved it. And let me just say that I loved it. I read this book in less than 24 hours. Picked it up, could not put it down. It literally brought me out of this reading slump. I rated this book a 4.75 stars. The beginning was a little cheesy. Well, the whole book's a little bit cheesy, but you kind of like it, if that makes sense. I really liked that there was no spice, really. Like, I don't think there was a single scene of spice, which I love a good rom-com that really speaks to me and has no spice. Like, we need more of these. We need more of these. I have not read any of her other books, so I don't know if that's like just her, she doesn't write spice, or if her other books are really spicy. I have no idea. But this book itself is not spicy, and I love that. I love the two main characters a lot. I think you get a little annoyed at them, but in a good way. You're like, what the heck, why don't you see what's going on? But I really like it. I really like how relatable the character Liz is. She's the female main character, and she just feels like a friend that you would have in real life. Like, she could be any one of us in the book community. Like, she's just so relatable. Yeah, I just really like this book. There's not a whole lot I can say about it without spoiling the plot of it, but I really like it. If you're a fan of cheesy rom-com movies, you'll love this. I just think anyone who likes romance books should read this book. Like, 100% recommend to anyone. Anyone could read this of any age, really. So, I know there's a second one. I don't have it. I'm gonna have to get it. But I definitely want to read more Lynn Painter because I really, really liked it. Like I said, I read it in 24 hours and I never do that. Well, I guess I do if I really like the book. So that's how you know I really like a book. Then it was 2 days before the end of the month, and I was like, I'm gonna pick up one more book and try and get through it. And I did not expect to actually finish it before the end of the month, but I did. It was another one where I just like couldn't put it down. It was really, really good. And that was Love and Gelato by Jenna Evans Welch. I know there are other ones in this series, I guess. They're all standalones, but in this kind of series. And I picked this out with Zach on Valentine's Day because it was so cute and just never read it in February. So I was really excited to get to it now. And I rated it a 4.25 stars. I really, really enjoyed the plot. Like, really, really enjoyed the plot. I don't know what didn't make this a 5-star for me. Like, I don't think there's anything specific that just didn't. It definitely made me want to read the rest of the books in the series, for sure. I loved that it was set in Italy because I think life in Italy just sounds like so amazing. I loved the mystery of this, of like her trying to figure out what's going on. I loved that because I think a couple of moments of this caught me by surprise too, and I just didn't see it coming. And the romance that takes place in it really leaves you hanging on till the end. Like, you really have no idea what's going to happen between the two of them. Like, obviously it's a happy ending, but you're like, how do we get there from where we're at right now? Loved the romance between the two. I have like a tab in here of something that I underlined, and so that means the writing was really good to me. Like, I just loved the writing. I loved how it was set up. It was a super easy read. Like, I was just flying through it. There's journal entries. I'm a really big fan of books who have different types of writing. Like, okay, there's journal entries in this book, or there's, you know, any kind of interesting way to write that's not just book form. I dive into because I love that kind of stuff. So this is another one where I think anyone could get into this and read it. There's no spice and just love it. So I would 100% recommend this book as well. I'm gonna have to read the other ones and let you know if they're just as good or not. But I really, really, really enjoyed this book, and it has led me to want to read the other ones. That is all of the books that I read in March. Going into April, I want to take life a little bit slower, and so instead of doing a TBR, because I don't even know if I read any of the books on my TBR from last month. I don't even remember what it was. I was just in a slump, and so in honor of the slump, I'm going to go into April with a couple of books that I just am dying to read. So let me show you what those books are to me at the moment. I have The Assassin's Blade and the fourth book, Heir of Fire. The fourth book? or third book. I don't know how this series works. I think it's the fourth book, Heir of Fire, and I really, really want to continue this series. I love it. I also have Betting on You by Lynn Painter, so I'd like to dive into that because I liked the other Lynn Painter so much. I also have The Cruel Prince, which I have not dived into yet, but I know that everyone loves. So this is a book that I'm hoping to get into this month. I also have The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, which is another one that people talk about and really, really love. So I'm really excited to get into that book as well. And then I have 2 Holly Jackson books, and y'all know I love The Good Girl's Guide to Murder and Holly Jackson. So I'm super excited to read The Reappearance of Rachel Price and 5 Survive. So that is, without having any kind of jar or anything, those are the books that I'm like the most excited to dive into. Let me show you. Whoa. Let me show you. This is what we're looking at for TBR for April. I have a lot of catching up to do since I only read 5 in March. I'm behind on my 100 reading goal, so I really need to dive in and read a bunch this month. So I'm super, super excited for that. That is all I have for you guys today. I'm hoping to film a lot more this month and just get back into the groove of things. Life has just been a little busy recently. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that the Lord is blessing you in so many amazing ways this month and this week. And I cannot wait to see you guys in my next video. Bye.